oils most of the time. That's why I joke a little bit about this channel to be anti-zombie, because when you use only your skills, you are a lot less similar to a zombie than when you use different processed chemicals to change your mind. So that's a little pun that I do. I don't know if anybody caught that yet, but that's how it goes. If you really need something, because some people are really sick, I'm not. If anybody's wondering why I wear bandanas, it's just because I don't like to have a weird looking head from either having frizzled hair, so at least that way I know that I always look the same pretty much, whether it's windy, raining, whatever outside, and also I can choose whatever color I want. So instead of wearing a wig like most other people might do if they want to change their hairstyle, I prefer wearing this, and also allows me to wear a hat if I want to wear a helmet for motorcycle, for biking, for any other sports that requires a helmet. Can still wear this, and it also makes the helmet or the hats a lot more comfortable to wear. And in a situation where you need to either filter water, have a rag to protect wounds, or you need something to mark your base area in the woods and easily find it, you can use a bandana either as a filter, filter if you put sand, remaining coals from your fire, and to prevent every particle to move around. That's your basic filtering process with a rag. Very easy to do on top of any plastic bottle you find along the roads or in the woods even, or in the water sometimes, sadly to say. And you don't forget, second protection from that, if you have the time, always boil your water for at least a minute, which is the fastest, but I suggest boiling for 10 minutes. 10 minutes usually in boiling water is the best way to either cook most foods and sanitize water, get rid of the remaining 10% bacteria that you might have. The filtering pre-filter is for the big particles, so you don't have big chunks when you drink your water or eat your soup. And the rocks, sand, and coal that you use, this is to remove the taste mostly, and smaller particles, I think they call it macrobacteria, also will be filtered by that, but there might remain a 1% amount of bacteria in there, so you boil your water to make sure you don't catch the nastier bugs. And finally, don't forget that you absolutely need to get a clean source of water, not contaminated by either radiation, if you're in the radiation zone, either by oils from chemicals, from products, from zombies driving their cars in the lakes or things like that. You never know. So be sure to watch for that. Any change of color on top of your water, don't drink that, because you're going to do more harm than good. Also, another myth, do not ever drink your own bodily fluids, because you've got tons of infection before you can acquire it, first. And second, the amount of salt is greater than the good the water will do you. So if you're in the desert, you need to drink water. Dig, always try to dig. That's your best area of finding water. Near plants, if you find plants, eating the plants will give you a lot of water. Under the plants, of course, you test the plants. If you don't know the plants, or especially the best vegetable, or the best thing to eat, of course, are mushrooms. Very good in everything, except there are very dangerous ones. If you don't know them, basic test normally that you do is you use your lips, most sensitive organ of your body that you can use. You put a little bit of it and wait at least an hour to a day. And if you feel any tingling or any weird thing happening with your lip, it might indicate that those are not edible. It doesn't mean they are safe, but if in the last case scenario that you have to eat something, you can use that little trick. So the channel will be better prepared eventually. This is just the beginning. I already did 2 years of general testing for pleasure because I wanted to test everything out. I had the idea this year because I found a neat legacy video about zombies, and that I really enjoyed, and that I contacted the company to ask the rights for it, everything. So that's what you see on the channel, main channel, Anti-Zombie on YouTube. And what they say, I believe, is highly true. If you look at the recent events, world events, where you see either insects that use zombie-like infections to control their hosts without them knowing that they're going to hatch larvae or be eaten by bigger prey to distribute the pupils of another insect around. That it is absolutely true. It has always existed. You've got substances man-made that control people. That is absolutely true. I didn't know that. I learned that about 3 years ago. We're all aware of our drinks, and be careful because you can be suggested a lot of things you won't remember. Very important. It's tasteless. You can't see it. And it's very common. I learned in those countries where they have them all around the towns, so be very wary of that. I'm very cautious of that. And lastly, we've got the infections that we heard started a few decades ago, which were the mad cow diseases. They think it's related somewhat because it managed to infect, they believe, humans as well, and that could be a beginning of the outbreak. Luckily for us, I believe they managed to shut that down. Since then, I've stopped eating cows just by prevention to avoid risking infection. Also, there were a lot of studies made that it's not necessary to eat. We eat a lot of red meat. You can do it if you want. I have nothing against people who do. I just prefer not doing it. I stopped pork eons ago, because simply I had learned that there were genetically created human organs from that animal, which is pork and things like that. So I decided to stop that eons ago. I stopped cows from the mad cow diseases we had problems with, and now I've stopped poultry recently, even though we had a case of avian flu a while back, but I decided to stop that as well. So I eat fish, I eat dairy products. I'm very lucky because I learned also recently that only about 20% of the general population can actually process milk, and I'm probably one of them because I have zero problem. I've always had a lot of milk, a lot of butter, things like that, without any problem. You get a lot of vitamin D, which is what gives a skin color a little lighter, but you don't have to go in the sun as much because you get all the vitamin D that you need from milk, and that can be transformed by your body in vitamin E, and you can get vitamin E also from different produce that I eat as well. So I highly suggest you do your own research. Don't take my word for it. I might not be the most I don't have the diplomas in that area. I only have a diploma, like I say to people that don't believe me, in computer technology with honors. That's what I did in school. And I took the time afterwards to do my research on everything else, since I'm paying with my own money, my time. I search for different things, like we heard about earthquakes when we had Fukushima. That really bothered me a bit. I wasn't aware we had so many badly planned worldwide nuclear plants. So I highly suggest you watch for those. Remain as far as possible to avoid secret spillouts that you're not aware of. I've checked out, and there were a few, at least a dozen of them that might affect a lot some United States residents. We have a few plants here in Canada. Lucky for me, the one nearest to Montreal has been closed down a long time ago. They are debating whether to dismantle it or if it's safer to just leave it there. And I think we've got one or two still running, but those are not close. So that's why I believe Montreal is a great urban area if you plan to prepare your bug out situation and still enjoy a lot of activities around. Give me a call. We'll do some stuff here, and we'll be prepared if anything happens. More than if you're in the center of the United States, where I believe that I saw at least 250, maybe more. I'm not sure the exact amount of nuclear power plants that you've got there, but you're most likely near one in a difficult case. We all hear about what's happening in Yellowstone. A few years ago, there were massive bison, I'm not sure how you say it in English, but deaths. They weren't sure for what. You've got flocks of birds falling. You've got flocks of whales. Flocks. You've got squalls, I think they call them. A lot of whales, fish beaching, things like that. Could be multiple sources. Could be natural gas venting from under the ground. But we are aware, from what I've seen, that there are a little more movement on the earth. Could be just military bases, making a lot of tunnels around your area, but I would suggest that you plan that as well. You don't need to panic, just take it as a game. It's a wonderful opportunity to practice your skills, either manual skills with different devices. Of course, this is just having fun. We're going to try out more realistic stuff later on, later during the year even. And we're going to see also maybe to make a small network of prepared people to either play, that's the best way to gather with people, or plan, which is a little less fun but a little more practical in real life. Food preparation, clothing preparation, entertainment preparation. Always need to have that to change your mind in a different crisis. And yeah, that's basically it. So I'm going to do a little more practice for juggling. I want to have at least a little bit of content for this test. Don't judge too hard. This is really all testing that I've done for the last 2 years. Between planning other stuff, I've planned a lot. And what I can say is, another thing that I think is very important that I've found, just to make a recap for that, your food. Really read what you eat. It's important to eat about 33% of everything you can, especially iron. Do not exceed 30-40% each meal. If you take 3 meals, take 2 meals, 50%, because it's really, I've done some testing. Iron is very powerful, very bad for your body. If you exceed the minimum, if you don't take enough, you're going to have immune problems. So I always had maximum, and I tried go beyond that, and it was very difficult to go beyond because your body doesn't process it well. So iron, check that out. And what I've checked since a while now, it's trans fats, which is not normal fat. Normal fat is fine, got nothing against it, but trans fat, watch that on your products. Try to get 0. If you get 0, it's better, because even at 0, sometimes it's because it's very low and they're going to pretend there's 0, but there's always a little amount of that. In restaurants, you're going to surely have excessive amounts of trans fat, which is very dangerous for your organism. It might not show right away, but you might develop problems over time that was caused by that. So trans fat is 0. They recommend you can feel comfortable if you take 0.1 grams per day. If you some governments say that up to 0.5 grams is fine, but my personal belief, and everyone that, well, not everyone, but the professionals that I've listened to that taught me that from the start, say that 0 is the maximum they would allow in a diet. So look for 0 if you can. I look for that. So I eat less. I eat a less wide range of foods. For instance, I've researched. I never go to McDonald's anymore, even though I worked there for a long time and was at a stage where I was doing pretty much everything. Sadly, they have trans in everything, trans fats. The reason is it's cheaper and it's also more addictive, so you tend to crave to go for that specific food, and it's very unhealthy. So I personally forget about McDonald's for eating now. I was a big eater of McDonald's because I worked there and I loved the food before. I still love it, but we have to make some sacrifices in life. I take it as in mentally it's better for me and physically on the long term. You can have some meals at Burger King. Burger King was my favorite restaurant place before, until I found out that their cheese has trans in it. Sadly, I prefer Whopper with cheese, so the cheese is a no-go. And I believe that fries is trans fat also, so I cannot eat fries there. So I would go for, when I go to Burger King now, I only take either a veggie burger because I don't eat cows anymore. So I take a veggie burger without cheese, which I find very hard to enjoy. So I don't really go there anymore. And Harvey's has a lot of trans in their foods in general as well. So, and of course I don't eat hot dogs. Hot dogs were my favorite meal there. I don't anymore because they've got a lot of pork for the hot dogs, and they've got a lot of trans fats and the other stuff. I don't remember at Harvey's what you get. I think the veggie burger is fine also at Harvey's. And you can go A&W. Most of their foods is trans fat free, especially their root beer. I don't drink soda pops, so sadly for me, I loved their root beer. I enjoy water, so basically that's what I take when I want something tasteful or fizzy. I just imagine it, and I'm pretty able to have the same effect, even though it's not as enjoyable. I only take 7-Up maybe 3 times, 4 times a year when I feel sick, because it cleans the plumbing. It's a great plumbing unclogger, but I personally stopped drinking fizzy drinks a long time ago. And so A&W, you can have their onion rings. I don't find them too great, but they seem to be trans fat free. And most of their cheese, I believe, and sandwiches, so I take a veggie burger there. But they are quite expensive. Their fries, very tasteful, no trans fats from what I've seen. But expect to pay a little more than other restaurant chains. That's what you pay for having quality and long, healthy lives. Always think that tomorrow is another day. You've lived more than you've died in the past, so I suggest you expect tomorrow to be more like the past than, might not be there tomorrow. So expect that you're going to have fun tomorrow as well. And plan your meals. I mean, it seems hard to take into account all of this at the same time, but if you do a little bit for a while, it becomes natural. Your food, for instance, you figure out what you like. I don't need to buy 30 different meals. I mostly eat either pasta. I love lasagna. That's one of my favorite meals. I love pizza. Second favorite meal. I love salmon pie. I'm not sure how you say it in English. It's pâté au saumon, which is fish, mashed potatoes, and crust. And just make sure that you don't have trans fat there and not too much salt. That's the other part. Most of the time, most people, if you eat normally in the restaurants and in your everyday diet, you're going to have about 2 times too much salt. It's not your body can process it if you drink a lot of water, but it becomes a risk over time because salt is going to accumulate and you're going to develop some stones. I've heard about some people in my family had kidney stones, which is very painful, and if you get them removed, it's pretty invasive as a surgery. I've never had that, so I've stopped adding salt as much as I can. Everything tastes more bland at the beginning. I can tell you this, now that I eat something, when I say I like it, it's really because I like the item, not because I add a lot of salt or a lot of sauce on them. So that's another trick. I know I'm throwing a lot of crazy stuff at the same time, but it's just a practice, like I say. You don't have to watch the sound, just press sound off if you want to find the quirks to trick me on, but basically I'm doing a recap of everything I'm gonna try to spread out during the year that we're gonna plan. It's gonna be planned on meals, planned on activities, and planned on devices. I really like trying out devices. It doesn't have to be new. If you watch my other channels, you're going to see that I very rarely buy something new, except if they are intimate stuff that you want to use, like underwear, things like that. Very important to always get them new to avoid problems. Some people say, it doesn't matter, they do a lot of stuff in their life that is always risky for bacteria, but I suggest that if they don't, they probably will be healthier. So that's why I suggest a little less freaky stuff, a little more healthy stuff. You're going to enjoy it more over time, especially if you do a lot of things. And when you get overwhelmed by something, do something easy, dishes, washing, take a shower, drink water, make a hot cup of water, something that most people forget. Before tea, people used to drink water. They added tea because the water, I believe, tasted bad. When your water doesn't taste good, add tea in it if you want. But if your water tastes great, just hot water, maybe honey in it. If you want a superb food, a superfood that I will always try to have on hand at any time will be honey. First, you can get it in real life. Second, it keeps forever. From what I heard, they've found some in the Great Pyramids, and it was perfectly edible because it's a special food. I believe if there's one insect that you should praise is the bee. It's the bee. It's a fantastic producer of a natural resource, and it also is a wonderful insect to watch. And most important, I believe scientists cannot explain how it flies because it's too massive for its wings, yet it manages to fly. So who knows, maybe one day we'll have flying bee cars or something like that. So just a little side note like that. Right, so in recap, I'm going to recap you 3 things that you should look for today. Start with that and comment if you do them, comment if you don't want to do them, if you have other ideas. First thing, watch in your food for trans fats. Try to get 0 grams if you can, or maximum 0.1 in your meal, so that would be 0.3 for your total day, because you're going to probably eat other stuff as well. So trans fat for 1. Second thing, do exercises every day. Doesn't need to be a ton. Just do, like I suggested to a great streamer that I know, try doing 20 push-ups a day to start, and do that every day at the best time. I usually do them in the morning when I wake up because it activates your brain. I don't do 20 push-ups. I do other exercises, and not 20. I do a lot more. But 20 push-ups would be a great start. It's going to make you get into the habit of doing something with your body and your mind that's very healthy, very good. Even if you can't go out, even if you can go out, it's going to prepare yourself to do that. And so we got no trans fat, 20 push-ups, trying to see the third one that would be best to start with. So we got food, we've got body. Let's talk body and mind. Trying to see. Let me see. Okay, well, I would say since we've got everything right now ready, find a game or an app that you find interesting that you can, especially if you can bring it on mobile. I personally love first-person view Player Unknown Battlegrounds, simply because it has everything I liked doing before, which is you can drive vehicles, you can see as first person, you get the suspense in it, and you also have a constricted area that changes so that you're never alone because everybody needs to gather around. Don't sweat it if you die. It's absolutely normal to not win. Take it as I take it as a paintball simulator. That's how I take it. Believe you're playing paintball. You get shot at paintball at the start. You either watch everybody else finish. That's a great way to relax, or you jump on another round somewhere. So PUBG, Player Unknown Battlegrounds. I use the mobile one. You can use any platform you want. If you use the mobile, leave me a comment. Just contact me so we could try together either as separate teams or in the same team. So PUBG or your preferred mobile app in case of a hard time. Could be anything. Flooding especially, plan for that. Exercising every day a little bit at the start. Eventually you're going to get used to it and you're going to enjoy doing more. And healthy foods. Start with looking up your ingredients in your foods, mostly for trans fat for today. And let's talk about the rest next time. So I'm gonna go jog a little bit, check my streams, see if anything is going wrong. Check your chat. I didn't bring my chat with me, so I'm not sure if anybody had any live comments to say. But I didn't hear anybody on Discord, so don't hesitate to use Discord anytime you see me there. More than welcome to do. I sometimes fall asleep. That happens. When I do, sadly, I can't always indicate it because it's not automatic. So you just try to be nice. Just say something like, hey, you awake or something. If I wake up, I'll come have a chat. If I'm really not awake, you're going to wait 10 minutes max. Like I say, 15 is my preferred amount of time for anything. So give me a little time. And otherwise leave me comments in the chats. Leave me comments in YouTube or the other platforms that you prefer, that you see my name there, which is on YouTube you can find me on Anti-Zombie. Every other platform you can find me either on Bernard L3, which is, you can say Burn, by the way, or Ben if you prefer, but I prefer Burn. I think it's more relevant for friends. So it's BERNARDL and the letter 3 for most places, or 31 for some places, so it's 31. So yeah, I'm gonna go jog a little bit and we'll have a chat next time.